So for the final complex geometry that we're going to make today, this is the 3D wall. And so what we first want to do is make sure that we have the 3D canvas open. We want to make sure we have the level 4 open and the section 2. So to begin, also have these views tiled, and to do that we're going to go to the View tab, and then all the way on the right side we're going to click Tile Views. So I'm going to just move a couple things around here and get kind of situated. We're going to center in here on the 4th floor, and then we're going to do the same thing here. And the same here. Mainly kind of keeping views on this very front right part of the level 4. So let's go to the Architecture tab, and we're going to create a new wall. Oh, yes, we want to save the project, always. Okay, so we're going to create a wall. Use your type selector to find the interior partition wall that's 4 7/8 inches thick. And on the top constraint, go ahead and choose unconnected and make it 8 foot unconnected height. In your level 4 view, let's go ahead and just draw one 8 foot wall. So this wall will now be 8 foot long by 8 foot tall. There we go. And then we're going to go to the Place Mass, which is under the Massing and Site tab. So let's go to the Massing and Site tab, and then we're going to go to In Place Mass. We're going to label this 3D Wall, and then click OK. There we go. And the first thing you want to do, just like we did with the parametric facade, is we want to place our reference planes. So go to the ribbon and select the plane icon. And in level 4, we're going to zoom in here just a little bit, and we're going to place a reference plane that's going to line up with the exterior part of the right side of that 8 foot wall. So just like that. And you just click, drag, and click to place. Let's click to change the name, and let's label this as reference 1. And our second reference, we're going to do 1 foot away from our first one, and it's going to make it a very, very dramatic wall, but it'll look nice. So we can type 1 space 0 and hit enter, and it puts down the first part of that reference plane for us. Then drag up and click to place the second one. We're going to click to change the name, and we're going to go reference 2. And there we go. We can hit exit to stop that command. So in our section 2, we can zoom in here to the wall. We're just going to drop some model lines just so we have something to reference. So let's go to the model icon, and here it's going to say it wants us to choose a work plane. Let's select name and use the drop down and select reference 1 and click OK. And these are just going to be so we can see what we're doing. So we want to first by making like a one diagonal line going from corner to corner, hit escape to stop drawing. Another diagonal line. We'll go one down the middle and one down the side. And to stop drawing a line, I'm just hitting the escape key once. We're going to draw the next few lines. We can just create them like so. There we go. And these are just for reference. So you should end up with 4 squares with 4 triangles in them. Alright, and while we're in the model, I'm sorry, not in the model, we need to go to the reference icon here, And we're going to create reference planes. We're going to use the point element tool. Sorry, got a little confused in my notes here. So this reference point is just a way for snapping for when we do our reference planes later on. So first we want to change the placement plane here on our options bar and do the drop down and select reference 1. And we're going to create 3 dots going across the top, like so. And then 3 across the center, and then 3 across the bottom. So 9 total. And you can double check here in your 3D view that all 3 are on that reference plane, and they should look kind of somewhat within that facing of the wall. Alright, so change the reference plane to reference plane 2, and we're going to create 4 here where the crisscrosses intersect. And in your 3D view, you can see there that they hover out in front of the wall. And also here in level 4, they show that they are on that reference plane too. So next what we want to do is we want to use the reference icon and use the line tool, and we're going to be creating a line that's going to cross from the reference plane 1 to reference plane 2. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that 3D snapping is enabled. If you don't do 3D snapping, it will not pick up on the different dots. So let's see, we're going to work in the 3D plane. Fix it once. Placement plane. I guess we'll try reference 1. There you go. And as you can see, when you highlight over, it snaps to that little point element. And we're going to click once. And it's not highlighting. Let's see how that, hit escape once. I'm going to see how that, okay, that did not line up like it should have. Ooh. I'll just edit undo. If you've done it, just go ahead and edit undo so that way you don't lose any of the work. Let's try this in section 2. So we're going to go to the reference icon. We're going to use the line tool. Make sure 3D snapping is on, chain is on, and let's try this now. And then now that I've drawn those 2 lines, I'm going to hit escape once just to stop so I can see if this worked. Yes, it did. Okay, we are good. Alright, so we're going to continue in section 2. I'm just going to go up, down, and around because we're going to need lines along the outer edge. And escape once to finish. Oh, that is not right. I'm gonna delete the ones that were wrong. For some reason an additional point popped up here. I'm using the tab key to select the single reference lines that are wrong, and then I'm just deleting them. So that one's correct. It was supposed to be that way. Okay, so let's go back to reference line. We're going to go to line. Oh, that's right, we need to do it in section. Go. Oh, and I lost an element. Sorry about this, guys. So I'll just hit reference, point element because I lost one, and I want to make sure that I'm drawing on reference 1. Let's go ahead and replace place that one. So reference 1 on the corner is what I'm missing, and then I lost my center one here on reference plane 2. So just make sure that you're changing your reference planes. Alright, let's go back here and let's finish these reference lines. Okay, so I have 2 there. Go ahead and continue drawing these. So sometimes if you need to, you can go ahead and delete these model lines in case they're getting in your way. We just need the dots. Okay, and this also can help you if you get rid of those lines. It can also help you realize what you might be missing whenever you're creating your reference lines. Go. Looking good. Just make sure to take your time while you're going through these, because although it's time consuming, if you get it right the first time, it helps out later. There we go, looking good. 2 more. Oop. Remember, just hitting the escape key once stops drawing your lines. Okay, so once you get all of them drawn, you can even use your modify tool just to kind of zoom in on the, just kind of hover over the wall and make sure that you're not missing any of these lines, because they're important to have, even the outer edge and the ones going from point to point. You want to go. Okay, we are set for that. Our next step is we want to, you can zoom into one of these squares here, or you can either in the section or in 3D, and using the modify tool, just hover over 3 of these lines and hold down the control key to select 3 that make a triangle. And then from here, go to the ribbon. You can create form and create solid. And when it pops up in your 3D window, because it's sometimes easier to use it from 3D, don't use this 3D kind of triangular form. You want to use the plane form where it's just one single plane. And then let's do the same thing. Select the reference planes by holding down the control key and then create form. You want to select the flat plane, and there we go. 1, 2, 3. Create form, flat plane. Oop. 1, 2, 3. Create form, and the flat one. There we go. Okay, I just tried to create one and it said it could not create that one, so let's try that again. There we go. In other times when I've created this wall, there is one troubleshooting issue that you may run across where the plane does not equally line up with the other two, or it shoots the wall off into a different direction. In that case, just select the triangle that's there using the tab key if you need to, and then you can go to Edit Profile. And in those cases, it's usually because it's wrong that that option will be available for you. And then just drag your pink lines into the shape that you need it to be, and then click OK. And that should fix that issue for you. Alright, so from here we want to go ahead and finish mass. So click the green check mark on the on your ribbon, and this is your 3D form. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to create 3 different kinds of wall finishes, and then we're going to apply those. So from our massing, or after we've created our massing, we're going to apply walls, and we're going to create a new wall and a new material in order to make this massing work. And I'll just show you quickly what it looks like if you were to use a material that's too thick. So let's go to the Architecture tab, where under Wall, we're going to do the drop-down menu and do Wall by Face. And we'll just keep this as interior 4 7/8 partition, and we will select a face here. We'll select this one, and then notice here in the 3D how you can see that the thickness is shooting off at an angle, and then it realigned the profile of the wall. We don't want to do that. We want this to remain as close to this as possible, as close to the massing that we created. So what we're going to do is go to the Wall drop down. We're going to select Wall by Face, but use the type selector, and we're going to use, say, the generic 5-inch, and I'm about to show you why we're going to do that. So we're going to go to Edit Type here on the in the Properties palette, and we're going to duplicate this generic 5-inch. I'm going to label this one the bronze wall, and if you want, because there will be different metal colors, if you want to do a aluminum wall or a gold wall, go ahead and do that, but I'm going to do, for now, I'm going to do bronze. So now that we have a new wall created, and we're not going to be editing the previous generic 5-inch, under Construction, next to structure is an edit button. So click that edit button. And the generic walls are really good because their structure is only one item, whereas if you were to use, say, the partition wall, you would also have a gypsum layer on either side plus a structure in the middle, and those sometimes are going to be just more troublesome to edit than doing the generic, because all we're going to do is we're going to change the structure of this one material. So next to by category, under material, we're going to click the little square with the 3 dots in it. And this pulls up our material browser. I already have the materials made, but I'm going to show you how to still create another material. So you want to go down to this little circle with the plus sign down here at the bottom of the window, and you want to create a new material. When that new material pops up, you can simply click it and right-click to rename it and label it the same name that you did for the wall. So if you did bronze wall, go ahead and label it bronze wall, silver or gold, what have you. And then to set the colors and everything and the materiality of it, we're going to open our asset browser, which is this square with the blue and white lines in it. And that's going to actually open up the asset browser. Most of the materials that I use are under the appearance library. You can click the little arrow that's pointing to the right, and that does a drop-down menu, and it expands so you can see that there's different types of metals, masonry, glass, ceramic, paint. You can also use the search bar at the top of that asset browser. So I'm just going to type the word bronze in, and it's going to pull up that bronze polish. If you do gold, it's supposed to pull up gold. Oh, let's try there you go. So if I typed aluminum, there's a bunch of aluminum. If you want to see all of the metal colors, you can go to under Appearance Library. You can drop down the metal, and there you can see that there are the other options. I don't know why they didn't pop up, but you can choose whichever color or metal that you want, but you got to choose a metal. And so for me it was bronze. So in your material browser with your new material selected, in the asset browser, when you hover over the metal that you want to use, you want to click these 2 arrows, the one that's pointing right and pointing left. This is going to put all of that information that's saved in the library onto your created material. And so you can see that in the appearance here, in the material browser here, there is, it gives you kind of like an example of how glossy it is, like how rough it is, and its color. Under graphics, the shading here and any kind of patterning will be found, but we'll get into those in more detail later. So go ahead and make that bronze wall. While you're here, go ahead and also create a, we want to make a secondary, another wall, another element, and we want to create that one. We're going to call it white wall. And when you're searching, you can just type the word white, and all of these things pop up, so you can use different kinds of paints or ivory. So choose a color there by typing it in here, or you can also, again, go to the paint. Here you can do glossy, or, and let me take the white out there. You can see that there's all sorts of different kinds of paint, so go ahead and choose one and create that wall pattern, or create that wall material. And then we're going to make a secondary one, or a third one, that I've done a stone. no, I didn't do a stone. I'm sorry. I made another one that's a third color. And so in this case, I made a gray wall, and it looks like I've used a fabric. Sometimes in acoustic materials, they use fabric on the wall, so this will give a really nice fun texture. So once you're done making those three materials, those three new materials, go ahead and click, go ahead and find your original metal one, because that's the wall that we're working on, and click Apply and OK. So back in your Edit Assembly tool, your window, you should see the name of your metal wall here under Materials. As for thickness, we want to change that to an 1/8 inch thick, because metal like this wouldn't come that thick anyways. And you're going to hit OK. And there we go. So while we're here in the Type Properties window, let's duplicate this bronze wall, and let's create that other color that you chose. So because mine was white, I'm going to have a white wall. Go ahead and name that duplicate white wall and click OK. And then we're going to go into the Edit by the structure name, and we're going to change that material. So click where it says bronze wall. We're going to click the three dots with the square, and I'm going to scroll all the way down, and I'm going to choose my white wall and click OK, and then click OK to exit the Edit Assembly window. And then we're going to duplicate this wall, this one more time, and my third wall is a gray wall. So I'm labeling it that color and the word wall. And again, we're going to go to the Edit button next to Structure. Where it says white wall, I want to change that material, so I'm going to click the three dots in the square. And I'm going to scroll up to gray, and I'm going to select my gray wall and click OK. Click OK to exit the Edit Assembly window, and click OK to end the Type Properties. So under Architecture, we're going to click the Wall and do Wall by Face icon. And yes, we want to save that project. And use the Type selector to find the bronze wall or the metal colored wall that you created. And all you have to do is click where you want to create that wall. I don't know why I did that. So I have one error here, but we'll get back to that in just a minute. There we go. Okay, so this right here is a little off, so what we're going to do is we're going to click Edit Profile. Here we go. And I'm going to select one line. I'm going to hold down the Control key and select the other line, and I'm going to drag this blue line to meet right back there. It's going to ask me if I want to remove the constraints, and I'm going to go ahead and do so in order to fix this wall. So I'm going to deselect those lines and reselect the next two, and use that blue circle and bring it back there to the center. There you go. When you're done, click the green Finish Edit Mode checkmark, and that fixes that. Here we go. We're going to do the same thing here. Select both of them, holding down the Control key. Remove that constraint. And fix that one. It says that it might be off. There may be some inaccuracies. If there are, you can click OK. And just try to get it as close to possible. As close as possible. There you go. If it's still showing warning signs, you can click this Show Warning, Related Warnings here. It's saying it's still a little off. You basically want to go until that until it snaps. And then click the green check mark, and that is fixed. Alright, so next we want to wall by face again. And I just placed 4 bronze walls. Now I'm going to switch to the gray wall, and I'm going to select other faces. Oh, having some errors. And that's okay. Sometimes you have errors and you just have to fix it manually. That's okay. So as you can see, when I finished fixing that wall panel there, this wall is still a little messed up. And we can fix that at the end here, but it's the same concept. You just select the wall and you'll click Edit Profile. And we want to remove the constraints. There we go. And just in case that ends up kicking that out again, I'm just going to leave it until the very end. And I'm going to do a wall by face for the remaining, and I'm going to use the white wall. It's saying that a few of these might be off axis and it might end up being a little weird, but that's okay. We can fix those at the end. There we are. Going to zoom in here. Going to fix these. Normally when I do this, not that many end up wrong, but just got to fix them. Okay. I'm going to fix this back wall now that we should have all of those faces placed. And I'm going to edit that profile and hug it snug into the edge there. There we go. There you go. Alright, so the original 3D here is, there we go, sorry, that's what I'm trying to say. So go to the View control bar here down at the bottom, and you want to switch the visual style to realistic, and then this way you can see the difference in the colors. You can see the white, the gray, the bronze faces that we added. And if you want, like say maybe you're not quite sure if all of those triangles were placed a wall there, you can select the massing, and then select the massing. You can right click and you can hide that element, and then that way you don't see that purple coming through anymore, and so it looks like everything was placed really well. And that is your 3D wall.